Hello everybody. Today in Pronunciation Matters we are going to speak about consonants. We are going to describe consonants. And in order to start describing consonants, we are going to speak about voicing. Voicing is located in the vocal folds. And the vocal folds are two muscular folds running from a single point at the front of the larynx, that is what we identify as epiglottis, and what we see especially in men, behind the Adam's apple. So it is very easy to identify the place where they are. They are flexible, and they end in the arytenoid cartilages. The space between the vocal folds and the arytenoid cartilages is known as the glottis. When the vocal folds are wide apart, as well as the arytenoid cartilages, we identify that glottal setting as the one for voiceless sounds. The glottis lets the air flow freely, and so we say that we produce voiceless sounds such as the voiceless glottal fricative. When the vocal folds are brought together gently, the air from the lungs forces them apart for a moment, and then they return to the closed position. This is done while the arytenoid cartilages keep pressed together. So this movement of the vocal folds is repeated and very rapidly, and this is what causes voice. So this is the setting for voiced sounds. Another position for the vocal folds is to bring them together very tightly so they don't vibrate, and if the arytenoid cartilages also press together, the pulmonic airstream is blocked. So when the vocal folds are opened suddenly, the air bursts out with a sort of coughing noise. We call this the glottal stop. Energy is directly related to voicing in the production of consonants, because in general terms we can say that voiced sounds which lower the energy of the airstream, because it has to force its way through the vocal folds, are produced with less airstream force and with less muscular effort. That is why voiced sounds are identified as weak sounds or leanies in terms of energy. And voiceless sounds, since the air comes out freely, are produced with a stronger air and muscular energy. They are called strong sounds or fortes. We can also define consonants in terms of their place of articulation. We have two kinds of articulators. Passive articulators, which are the ones placed in the roof of the mouth, and active articulators, which are the ones that are placed in the lower jaw. And we define consonants in terms of the articulators that interact in the production of each sound. For example, when the lower and upper lips articulate together, we have bilabial sounds. When the lower lip and the upper front teeth articulate together, we have labiodental consonants. Another category, dental consonants, are produced with the tip of the tongue and the rear of upper front teeth. Another category, alveolar consonants, are produced with the tip and blade of the tongue and the alveolar ridge. When the blade and front of the tongue articulate with the rear of alveolar ridge and the front of the hard palate, we produce palato-alveolar consonants. And when the front of the tongue and the hard palate are involved, we produce palatal consonants. Velar consonants are articulated with the back of the tongue and the velum. Last but not least, glottal consonants are the ones which are produced at the glottis. And the last characteristic we can define consonants with is the manner of articulation. I have found a very interesting description in terms of categories. Consonants can be divided into obstruents and sonorants. Obstruent consonants are the ones in which there is either blockage or friction. When there is blockage of the air stream, we have the stops that can be plosives when the blockage is released very suddenly, producing a kind of explosion, and that is the reason why they are called plosives. And affricates are produced with the same blockage at the beginning and a slow release of the air, which produces audible friction. The other kind of obstruents are the fricatives, which are produced through a narrowing between the articulators, which provokes the aggressive pulmonic air to come out, producing audible friction. The counterpart for obstruents are sonorants, and sonorants are consonants which are produced with free flow of air. Nasals are not produced with free flow of air through the mouth cavity, but since the velum is lowered, the air escapes through the nasal tract. Approximants, on the other hand, are produced with free escape of air through the mouth. In the case of lateral, the air escapes through one or both sides of the tongue, and central approximants are very similar to vowels because they are produced with a free flow of air through the mouth cavity. Well, these are the basics of categorization of consonants, and in future videos I'm planning to describe each category in detail. Thank you very much for sharing.